Hello and welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. My name is Lucy Aita. I'm happy to be here today to show you a beginner project using a limited palette. I have very few colors on my palette paper today, and this is a disposable palette paper that we just use once and throw out. It makes things a little easier. When I do teach classes though, I like to use the big hard plastic palette. This way it gives me a lot of room and more support to hold it. So I'm using Wilson Bickford's signature products today, brushes in his brush line and his paints, and I am certified by him to teach his methods, and I also teach my own methods. I'd like to mix both of our methods together and see what I come up with. Today I'll be doing a palm tree on a very simple background, and I'm going to start off first by using the Fast Flow White, which is a nice white liquid oil paint, and here it is, and you can see it's a little liquidy. It drips a little bit sometimes. I'm going to be painting the whole canvas in the Fast Flow mixed with black and ultramarine. And I put this little sticker here to, that's where our moon is going to be. And then this way I can peel it off and it'll stay nice and fresh white. So I'm going to make this a little darker so it will be a nice evening scene with a silhouette of a palm tree, maybe some grasses depending on time. So to get started, I'm using a 1-inch scenery brush, and I am pouncing it into the Fast Flow. I'm going to add a pretty good amount of this blue, and that might be a little too much, so I'll just spread it out a little, and a little bit of the black. There we go. So I don't have that much in when I start to paint. But on the canvas I can spread it out, okay, because we don't want to use that much paint. Now I'm going to test the color. And let's see. Oh, it's a nice, like a slate blue, and that might be pretty good for a nighttime sky. I'm going to add a little bit more darks in, and a little more blue. There we go. Okay, so I like that a little better. It's a little darker. Here we go. I'm going to start painting in this whole canvas. This is a 12 by 16 wrapped canvas, which means it has the sides on it. Okay, now at home you can always paint those sides if you want, but for the sake of time I'm just going to do the front of the canvas to show you the lesson. There we go. So that's already looking like nighttime. And I'm going right over that moon. And you can still see that sticker there a little bit, but I'll be peeling it off, so it doesn't matter if that has a lot of paint on it. So you can see I have a lot of brush strokes, and we can use a mop brush to mop them out if we want to. A lot of people like the brush strokes and they leave them in. It kind of looks artsy that way. Depends on what you like. So coming back, pouncing a little more paint. Now the background color has to be a few shades lighter than my palm tree. Since my palm tree is going to be a silhouette, it will be very, very dark. So we want the background dark to represent night, but we don't want it as dark as the palm tree. For perspective, when we put something dark in the front, it will set everything else in the background. So let's see while I get this paint on, and I'm using an X stroke because this canvas has a tooth to it. So if you feel, when I'm feeling it, I can feel a little roughness to it. This is a student, what we call a student grade canvas. There are canvases that are smoother and higher grade, but of course they cost more money. And since this is a demo instructional class, I'm just using the student grade canvas just so I can show you the lesson. Now, you can add other colors to the sky if you want to. You could add a purple, and it'll be very, very pretty. I could always add some red to my blue, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep it all in the blue and the gray family. Okay, so here we go. I'm making it a little darker as I come down to the bottom. Again, for perspective reasons. So I'm just pulling a little more black and a little more blue in there, and you can see it's getting a little darker. Okay, some more blue. And I feel it's a little dry, so I'm pushing my brush a little harder to try to get that paint on. I don't want to go in too much of the white. I have a clear medium here too I can use. And the clear, it's called clear glazing medium, and that is kind of like the oil in the paint without the color. And that also makes the paint much smoother and easier to work with. But in this case, I am not adding it. And the reason why is I'm going to be putting layers of paint on top. So I don't want to pick up my paint too much underneath. This will just make it easier for when I add my elements on top. So I'm not adding it at this time. Going back into more blue, black, gonna paint in the bottom now. Now, in the corners here, I'll be putting some real dark black later on, and I'll pull some grasses up, and we'll see what I have time to add. As time permits, I might be able to add a little more. So, right now I'm just covering this whole canvas with this blue-gray color. There we go. See, I'm X strokes and scrubbing it in. There. Anytime I see any white of the canvas, I'm just kind of scrubbing it in. Okay, now, a lot of people would like it like this because, like I said, it looks very artsy. What I'm going to do is just show you the mop brush, which I just used a little while ago, so it still has a little paint on, but that's okay. And I'm just going to come in and smooth this out a little. I'm just going to get rid of some of those strokes. And I can even fill in where I see some white. So again, I'm using an X stroke. I'm not worried about spreading the paint around. I could always wipe the mop off, but it's fine. It feels like it's not too much paint on there. And you can see some of those lines are coming off. Some are not, and that's okay. I have a hair here. The way to get a hair is you just lift it right up. Take a paper towel and wipe it right off. Anytime you have hairs. All brushes shed hairs, that you can't help. We're pretty rough on brushes and we use them quite often. And especially when they're new though, the new brushes actually shed. All right, so I smooth that out a little bit. I have some variations of colors in there. And like I said, I'm picking the paint up a little bit. So I did have more here. And I'll smooth those marks out I just made. So now we have a dark sky. It might be a little bit of a winter sky. It's hard to say. Now, what I'd like to do is add a moon glow around the moon. I'm going to be using my signature brush called the Bounce Brush, and it has 3 layers of horsehair and indentations on the handle. And what I like to do, especially for clouds, is I bounce on the top of the cloud and smooth it out. Now in this case, I'm just going to put some paint on here on the top of the brush, and I'm going to go around the moon to make the moon glow. I'm just using the top corner about 1/4 inch, and I'm going to go in a circle. Now what's happening is the top of the brush is putting on the paint, and then the bottom of the brush is going to start to blend. So here we go. I'm just going in a circle. And I'll take my mop brush and blend it out. So I'm going to try to round it out here. The glow around the moon usually is pretty straight. However, me standing on an angle, it may not be that straight. But just to give you an idea of a simple way to do the moon glow, I'll take the mop brush again and smooth this out. There we go. I'm going to smooth it out. There we go. Now we can see that moon glow. I'm actually using this brush to paint a bit. There's a nice moon glow. Okay? There we go. Now, what I can do is I can put my clouds on first and then peel the sticker off, or I can peel the sticker off and paint my moon in. So I think for now, I'm going to just paint in a couple of little clouds just to show you how to use my bounce brush for clouds. So I'm just bouncing on, again, 1/4 inch into the regular paint, which is titanium white paint, not the fast flow. This is the thick white paint. And I just want to show you. So I'm bouncing on just what I might think to look like a cloud formation. So this would be like the top of the cloud, okay? Now I'm going to have a palm tree in there, and I don't want to go through the cloud, so I'll just show you a couple of these just so you get the idea of it. So I'll come back, get a little more paint. There we go. A little bit of a cloud formation, and I can change at any time. Now what I'll do is I'll take the whole entire brush now and just rub out that bottom there. There we go, rub out the bottom. Now I'm using the whole brush, not just the tip. And that's how we can smooth out the bottom. Now, I'd wipe the brush off a little bit and do a final blend, just so it looks like those clouds are anchored to the sky a bit more. Now I'm holding it very lightly, but I think because of the student grade canvas, I'm kind of scratching it. So I'm going to come back with my mop brush. It's softer. There we go. Smooth these out a little. I don't want to lose that shape of that roundness of the moon. And there we have some very simple clouds. There we go. I like how it has these dark and lights inside it. All right, so what I will do now is I'm just going to peel off the moon, and we will show, there it is. There is the moon. I'll take a smaller brush. Let's see, I'm going to take a small flat brush. I'm going to go into my thick paint. I'll come in on the other side. This already has a little bit of color in it. I'm going to come in on that side. And here we go. I'm holding it up on the chisel edge. And I'm going to push. I'm trying to stand to the side so you can see. And I'm pushing, pushing, pushing in a circle. Turning the brush over, pushing in a circle, and just filling it in. It's okay if it gets a little blue in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. It'll look like a little crater on the moon. Okay, there we go. Now, before I start to put in my palm tree, what I would like to do is establish a little bit of the water. Okay, rather than have it all be sky, I'd like to have part of this be water. So I'm going to go into my blue paint, and I'm just using the blue here, a little black. I want a real dark color. I'm going to come across a little below center and just make a line across and get a little bit of a different color in there, just a little darker than what we have up top. There we go, and I'll paint right across now. The water will be laying flat, and I'm just moving the paint. And since the water lays flat, now we can see that we have a little bit of a horizon there. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my dirty bounce brush and just wipe it off a little bit. Okay. So you can see how much paint comes off it, because this does hold a lot of paint with the 3 layers of horsehair. Now, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to put some stars in the sky. And I've shown this on other videos, but it's a very, very popular technique. So I'm dipping my bounce brush in some paint thinner, okay, which is odorless turpenoid, or turpentine. Turpenoid is a brand. This is a, oh, and I see it's a little bit blue. So I'm just going to wipe it off a little. And I'm going to make a little bit of a liquidy white here. I could even go into my fast flow if it feels too liquidy. It should be kind of like milk, a little bit like milk, okay? So I'm loading my brush, and what I like to do when I'm home is I try my spattering. I'm going to spatter stars on, and I do like to try it on a piece of cardboard or paper. So this way you can see how big the droplets come out and if the consistency of the paint is right. But I'm going to wing it today. I'm not going to practice it. I'm just going to spatter it and see what happens. So it looks like it's about right. So here we go. I'm holding the brush straight in front of my canvas, and I'm just going to pull back on the bristles, and there you have it. You can see the stars. I'll just put some in the water. I don't know if it's going to show anyway, but let's just put some in the water. Now you can put as much stars as you like. I'm having a good time, and there goes a bristle, and I'm going to put some extra stars to make sure you can see them. So it's a really starry night there. Okay, now I'm going to take this same flat brush that I use. This is a large flat brush. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to put in my palm tree first. So this way you can get a better idea of which way I'm going. I'm going right in the black. Now with the silhouette, we use the darkest color we can get. So just had some blue, I'm adding the black. Here is some clear glazing medium. I want my paint to glide over the paint that's already on the canvas. So I'm just dipping, and I'm making my paint a little thinner. There we go. Okay, you can probably see how it's smooth, okay? Now I'm putting quite a bit of paint on. Like I said, I want to go over the paint that's already there. So first, what I'll do is make U's for the trunk. You can do a palm tree where it's just straight up and down. I like to do the palm trees in a U. So if I do a U, come right above it again, I'm going to turn the brush over, do another U. Now, to me, that doesn't look quite dark enough. So I'm going to come back in my dark paint, again with the medium. Want to make it pretty dark, and I will go over it again. There's my U, U, and I'm going to turn it over. Now, as I go further up, I'll make them a little smaller. My little U's will be a little smaller. Okay, just for perspective, this way it's bigger on the bottom. Now, you can see I have a little bit of depth in here. Rather than just do a straight line, I put a little curvature in here. Just a plain U, chisel edge, just scoop it under. So I know there are so many different kinds of palm trees. I have been lucky enough to go to Bermuda and the Caribbean, and I was very surprised that palm trees are not just all straight and tall. There's all kinds. There's short ones that are dwarf palm trees, okay? So this one's going to be someplace in the middle. Now, I chiseled my brush, which means I'm flattening it, okay? And now I have a nice chisel edge to the brush. I'm going to make the palm fronds, but I need to put a placement. So I'm just pulling them the way they may go, the way nature may have it show. Okay, I don't want to make them too big because I want to keep this as a focal, okay, since it's nice and bright white, nice nighttime sky. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can do the palm fronds, and I'm going to show you them. Since I have a little time, I want to show you how to do them with a couple brushes. This is the flat brush, okay? So with the flat brush, you'll hold it on the stem, and you'll just pull down. And you can do palm fronds like this. But see, I'm pulling down and then picking it up. Okay? Now that's one way to do palm fronds. I'm going to show you another way. So this is a good lesson today for you, and you'll be able to pick which brush you like the best. Now I'm loading a fan brush. Okay? So here's the fan brush in dark paint. And with the fan brush, same way, this is coming up. I can just pull the palm fronds with the fan brush, okay? So I am picking up some of that background color, and I can very well go over it again. Now, to show you one more way, we can use the bounce brush. And this will come out a little chunkier, depends on how big your painting is. And I had quite a bit of white in there. So rather than take the time to wash it, I'm just going to use it as it is. Just, you will get the idea of it, okay? Now, if we had a big palm tree, the bounce brush is good because it'll cover a lot more, okay? So I am going to load a little more than that 1/4 inch of it and try it first and see if I need to load the whole brush. So I'm just going to pull it down and pull down and pull down, okay? So I need a lot more paint on the brush than I have, all right? So what I would have to do is really load up the paint, maybe put a little medium, and really load that paint up. So depending on time, if you have plenty of time to do your tree, there's so much that you could do with whichever brush you're more comfortable with. This brush is more of a beginner brush. It'll cover more, more areas. You can do it with this brush, and then you can go back and use the other brushes, okay? So it's taking some of the paint off from underneath, and that's okay, because it'll look like a shadow. So you can see I'm just pulling it up, pulling it up. I need a lot more paint, pulling it, pulling it. The way that it's going is the way the fronds may lay. So after I get some on, I will go back and I can put more paint on and I can change brushes. Okay, so now I have that on. I can go back, say, to the fan brush. Here we go. And I'll put some blue. Sometimes you add blue to a black, it even looks darker. There we go. So I can go in and add some more. And I can add more here. The best thing, of course, to do is to stand back and take a peek at what you have so you can take a look at it. Okay. So you want them to kind of come down the way your branch is going. Okay. Now, I hope that's dark enough to show in the camera. I think it should be. Now, down at the bottom, we have to have a little land for that tree to stand in. I'll come up to my bounce brush and I'm going to put a lot of paint on there and just bounce in a little land mass here. And then you'll see it's kind of hanging off the side, and this will give an illusion of some grasses. You know, just a little mass on the bottom. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly fill this in. I have some white on there. I would prefer it be darker black, but just for the sake of time, I could always go back. I'll make that darker. I'm going to have to get a little more dark black paint out. So I'll come over to my paint. I am using Wilson Bickford brand today. He has very nice creamy paint. And my fault was I did not cover it, the paint, well enough. So it does start to dry if you don't cover it. So I advise that you not do what I just do and you take the time to cover. So the paint is a little thicker than usual. And that's why it's always good to cover your paint the proper way. So see, I could just come back in and add more black, and then maybe I can come onto this side. My easel's a little bit in the way, but I'm sure you get the idea of it. Get a little bit more black in there, just so it looks like a little land. Now in the front, I would like it very dark. Okay, but I'm not going to take the time right now because I'd like to show you a couple more little steps to this, so you have an idea more of what you can do when you're at home. Okay, I'd like to show you a long liner brush. It's very long hair, and with this liner brush we need to thin the paint. So I'm just coming into my odorless thinner, and I'm coming on the side of my black paint here, and I'm making a little inky puddle. I'm dipping again. We want this to be like milk. A milk or an ink, and we want to really load up that brush so that paint comes all the way down. Okay, then I can just drag this brush and I can get some nice grasses. There we go. Can make some bigger, have them come the other way. And this will give perspective to the painting because I'm putting it in the front, okay? So my easel's a little bit in the way, but I think you get the idea. So the object with this brush is to drag, okay? Now, let me fill in that other side a little bit more. This should be pretty dark over here. So if you're at home, take your time, fill this in. The other thing I'd like to do is put some reflection in that water. And for that, I can take a clean fan brush and I can come over into the white and load that fan brush up, and if here is my moon, I can just come right across. I'm skipping the brush, skipping. I don't want to paint it in totally. I do want to skip it. and it has some stars already in there, okay? The other thing we can do is, see I picked up some of that dark from underneath? That's okay. I can come in and we can even put a little bit of waves. So all I'm doing is tapping, and this will look like a little bit of waves in the back. Very simple, anybody can do this. I'm just tapping, tapping, tapping. All right, we can put it right through here. I might need a little bit more paint. This is a beginner painting. All you have to do is learn a little bit about these brushes and just a few colors, and you can do a painting like this. Anybody can do this. You don't need to draw or have any art experience at all. Something fun, you can try it, and you'd be surprised how happy you will be. I believe in art as therapy, and so many people that are suffering from a loss or an illness, when they start to paint, just after the first time, they get so involved in their painting like a meditation, and it just truly helps them. I know it's always helped me. So, there we go. Add in a little more, and now I'm adding a little bit more just to show you how you can really dress up your painting and have a beautiful night scene, and just using just a few colors. I mean, I've only used the black, ultramarine, and black and ultramarine and white. Sorry about that. So what I can do is I would still come back here. I really would like this front very, very dark, and it has texture, okay? I would like to cover it all in with the black paint. I can even come over on the side and put a few more grasses in there. So again, I can come back onto this pile here. You can see I'm just taking that liner brush, rolling it. There we go. And I can even come up over here and pull some. Now I'm closer to the canvas, so I can do them a little thinner. See how nice and dainty they can come out if you're just on the tip, If you push down like I did over here a little more, they'll come out bigger. All right, so maybe I might want to pull some up. I can even pull some tall ones, even come up right across into the horizon. And you can really, really dress this up just with these few brushes and these few colors. Okay, so add a little more because this is fun and it looks nice. Can add a couple of stars to the sky, some seagulls, and we'll be done. So there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, a beginner painting that anybody can do. If you have any questions, feel free to write to me. You can reach me at www.lucysworldofpainting.com, which is my site. I have a contact sheet there. Or you can come join my Facebook group at Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. And we have contests on the page, lots of fun stuff going on there. We have a contest every once in a while where you have to do a painting with your left hand if you're right-handed. So come and join me, and thanks again for tuning in.